This week on the Organized Life podcast.
Got foundational habits in your life every single day that if I can get a handful of habits to be like a not even a conscious thought for somebody, it's just like they automatically do it every day. Now we're giving the ability to grow. So what do I mean by that? If I can get someone in the habit of getting their 8 hours of sleep every day, and then I can get them in the habit of getting up when their alarm goes off and movement like these core pieces that are going to allow us to show up as our best self, the minute that doesn't have to take active energy, now we're talking about the ability to grow, because now those are just part of our structure. Now they're just part of our foundation. And then the conscious energy gets to go on habits that get to take us to the next level.
Yeah.
And then those become subconscious habits. And, so.
Yeah. Hey, and welcome to the Organized Life podcast, where we are creating a movement with powerful organizing strategies and systems that save you space, time, energy, and money. I am your host, Tequila Renee, the life organizing strategist, professional organizer, and the owner of Extreme Audacity Organized Solutions. And today I am super excited to continue this journey with you guys and to welcome my special guest, Tiffanie Janowitz.
You got it.
You guys, if you've been listening for a while, you know I mess names up so bad, especially the last names. So I am so proud of myself for getting her last name right. Welcome, Tiffanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I am proud of you as well. We'll take those wins, right?
Yes, ma'am. Well, listen, the Organized Life listeners, we have such a great thing happening right now. We have the Organized Life Masterclass where you can register right now if you would love to join us. We also just dropped the Life and Home Audit. If you want to take a look at what's actually working in your life and what is actually falling apart and where you need to start creating the organized life, feel free to take that audit. We'll make sure we have that in the description. So we're going to go ahead and get down to the conversation. So, Tiffanie, do us a favor, the Organized Life listeners who've never heard of you before. Please tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I'll give you my 10,000 foot view in a real quick nutshell. I am the youngest of 8 kiddos, and I was raised in a smaller town in Utah. And that gave me the opportunity to really identify a lot of organization and systems around me as I was growing up. I got to do a lot of observation. I got to do a lot of taking away of what I liked, what I didn't like, everything in between. It also gave me the opportunity to be a natural born leader because I was the end of the pack. Yeah. Usually when people hear oh, they're the youngest, they're given everything, they got what they want. And I actually found the opposite. I got to pave my own way, and I was very independent from a very young age. And so I took a lot of things into my own hands. And I would say that I'm your pretty non-traditional gal. I started just kind of rewriting my identity over and over, and not in a lost way, but in a way that I found the importance of alignment from a very young age. So, I kind of started by doing that, by checking the boxes of what I was supposed to be doing in, whether it was societal norms or what was coming next for me. And then I, again, started to challenge some of that and rewriting that. Anyways, I dove into corporate America for a long time and challenged that, stepped out of that and stepped into entrepreneurship. I'm now a business owner. I lead a really great business and personal development coaching company. So talk about organization and everything like that. And I really I thrive on helping lift others. And if I can help people create their version of freedom, like I have done for my life, then I am completing my mission. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that rundown. So listen, Organized Life listeners, if you've ever had a moment where life has forced you to rebuild and you didn't even know where to start, this conversation is going to be for you. So, Tiffanie, when you think about creating the organized life, what comes to mind for you?
Oh, when I think of the organized life, I mean, when when we found one another, I was like, "Oh, we are in alignment on so many of our viewpoints and everything like this." But one thing that's really interesting as a business owner and as a coach in my space, a lot of times when people think of like the word infrastructure, for example, that's a word that I love to use. If you've been in my space, you're going to hear me use that very quickly. But organization is utilizing infrastructure, and so
Mhm.
often people think that that's like just in the business world, but it is more importantly in the personal world. So when we think of those systems and processes that run a business, those are more importantly running your personal life as well. So when we talk about organization, I mean, that is like my love language there. So,
Yeah. You said so much in such a short time. So I just did a talk on the organized CEO starts at home.
mhm,
And the whole concept is that you can't be as successful as you would like to be. You can't really grow at the rate that you would actually like to be, or even could be, or could, until your home life is in order. When you think
mhm.
about a lot of the high level executives or high level entrepreneurs, they usually have somebody at the house taking care of things.
Yeah.
They usually have it's a nanny, it's a wife, it's a somebody is at the house making sure that things are running smooth.
Mhm.
And one of my newest clients that I'm coaching, she has a business, and I was telling her you have to run. First of all, you have to run your business as if it's a manufacturing plant or like a large one. Even though it's
Oh, yeah.
small right now, you got to run it like it's a large one. And you got to run your life like a business. This is your first business.
Yes.
Your family is your first business. And I don't know why people don't really get that. Like, you have to run it so that it can run smooth. It
Yes.
does not make its own way. You have to create
Absolutely.
the path for it. And so I love that you said that, because I think that a lot of people, well, not I think, I know that so many people are winging it instead
Mhm.
of actually creating it.
Mhm. Oh, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine the difference when you look at two different scenarios. I mean, I can paint one scenario of an entrepreneur or a business owner that is winging it. They're reacting to everything.
Yeah.
They're waking up in the morning and just now looking at their calendar for the day rather than forecasting it the night before. I mean, there's so much reactivity with all of the white noise and all of the everything we have available at our fingertips these
Mm-hmm,
days.
mm-hmm.
And then if you turn around and look at scenario B to someone who takes just a pause to organize their next day, forecast the next day, have things in order in their home, I can guarantee they're sleeping better, they're thinking more clearly, they're making more sound decisions as a leader, whether it's in the home or not. But it does, it starts at home.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so important to have the home life in order.
Hmm.
And I think what we don't get a lot of the times is how that sets the foundation for everything,
Yes.
right? Like that forecasting that you're talking about. I interviewed somebody and he called it what did he say? He called it pre um oh man, dang it. And I told him I was still in it. It's gonna come to me before we leave.
Okay, I can't wait.
Yeah, but it's like a pre-commitment.
Oh, yes.
So you're committing to something now that you're gonna do later, right? So you that when you get to that point to where you don't want to do the thing, you already committed to it. So
Hmm.
just do it. Right.
Hmm.
So all of that works in tandem with each other, doing,
Yeah.
setting yourself up for success, and then doing the things that you said you would do for yourself.
Yep. 100%.
So when you talk about rebuilding your personal and professional infrastructure, what does that actually mean? And how does someone know when theirs is actually broken?
It's a great question. So, when we're talking about personal infrastructure, we're talking like that's a fancy way of just saying like your habits and your mindset, your skill set that's in front of you right now, right? And one thing that's really important for people to understand is the habits and the organization that you're putting into today. Yes, they are supporting a little bit of today, right? They're helping keep today organized for you. They're helping keep today running smoothly for you. But what they're actually doing is paving the way for that future self, because it's paving the way for you to stay consistent to reach your goals or reach that next bit of identity, right? So when we're talking about identifying when something feels broken and how do you recognize that as a person, the first question that I'm going to ask someone is, if you look at your life today and you're not answering to anybody else, you're not answering to your role as a wife or a mother or a CEO or whatever the different roles that we have the honor of carrying for ourselves, if you're just looking at that for Tiffanie, I'm going to ask Tiffanie, are you living in alignment for what your future self needs you to become? And if the answer is no, then we've got some work to do on reforming that identity. And it's a match by match, in every area of our lives. And that's hard for people to do. But I love that you talked about the pre-commitment, because the most important piece of breaking through and creating a new identity is the factor of self-trust. And that pre-commitment is such a determination of if you are trusting and fulfilling on the things that you are committing to. If I'm not fulfilling and following through on the things that I'm committing to myself, how do I expect myself to follow through and commit to others or other things that I've got on the board?
Yeah. I found it easier to commit to fulfill on my duties to other people than I did for myself. Because I didn't want to let people down, right? So if I said I was going to do something, I would do it at the cost of myself.
Yep.
Right. And so once I got over that and recognized that, then it really changed my life. And I really started enjoying saying no more often, because I was overcommitting. I wasn't doing things for myself, and I was just saying yes to everything. And then I started saying no, and life just literally changed for me.
Yeah. It's a really powerful experience to go through. And so often we are brought up, and I feel like there's a fine line for people to understand the power in saying no and feeling like that's okay versus, well, I'm letting people down now. And, what is that the cost of? For me, when I went through, I remember the time that I was like, I have to start practicing saying no. I remember the conversation I was having with myself.
Yeah.
And it was like an active exercise that I had to start going through. But what I battled a little bit was, okay, am I saying no? And is this going to come at the cost of, I'm a very service oriented person.
Me too.
Love serving people. And I get such a fulfillment out of doing that.
Yeah.
But again, the fine line of when is it starting to cost my peace?
Yeah.
And fill in the blank. It costs us so much.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate dance of knowing when it is actually serving everybody and your bandwidth of being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so good. So in your experience, how does misalignment show up in someone's daily life, especially when in how they're managing their time, their energy, and their responsibilities?
Well, it's a slippery slope, and it's exactly what you and I were just talking through
Yeah.
as it creeps in, when we're wanting to serve other people and we're putting everybody else before us, we're probably not seeing it on some big scale, right? But it's like the death by 1,000 paper cuts, It's those small moments where we're like, oh, that's okay. That's okay. And I use the word fine a lot. And I don't like the word fine any longer because I feel like it's such a band-aid to true feelings that are underneath the surface. I mean, think of the last time you had a conversation with someone and you said, hey, how are you doing? And the person on the other end said, I'm fine. How are you? Like, it's such surface nonsense.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves sitting back and living in a state of being fine because of either the fear of letting people down or the fear of the change of the unknown that is going to be required if you're going to shift your identity. There's a cost for growth. But if you're Yeah. And so I think to your point, I think it's a lot of people get caught up in it's just day-to-day things that continue adding up. And then all of a sudden you're living a full life that is pleasing and serving others, and you don't even know who you are now.
Yeah, that was so me.
Yeah.
And
Oh, me
then
too.
yeah, when we say we're fine, we're 9 times out of 10 not actually fine. We're
Hmm.
just that's just something easy to say,
Hmm.
especially when you don't want to get into it.
I know. It's like, yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So before we can even talk about like habits and systems and things like that, how important is our identity when someone is trying to rebuild?
I mean, I think it's the root of your rebuild, right? So whenever I'm working with people and they're feeling that pull, that inner pull of like, I'm meant for something more. I feel a shift coming. I
Yeah,
want to grow. All of these things, like that's the voice inside you speaking to you, and it's so important to listen to that. It is like a muscle though. So the first time you listen to it, if it's not something you're used to listening to, especially for my people pleasers,
yes,
this is a big ask for me as a coach and a mentor to say, okay, we're going to start listening to that because it's uncomfortable. It may let some people down, and that's okay,
yep,
but at the root of all of it, I have to know personally what my core values are, because as I evolve my identities, my core values are going to help me buffer some of those difficult circumstances that if someone on the outside is judging me or doesn't
hmm
necessarily love what I'm doing or is challenging me, if I know that it's in line with that future self and my core values, well, then it makes decision fatigue fly out the window because it's either in alignment or it's not. So when you're saying like, how important is that identity piece? That's the first thing that I have to really have a very honest conversation with the folks that I work with is, have you done the work to visualize what that looks like?
yeah,
What is she doing? What is he eating? What is he like? Who is he surrounding himself by? What does his home look like?
yes,
I mean, all of these things are so important because that's really what is going to then reverse engineer all of the infrastructure that makes it possible to get there.
absolutely. So when you say, when we're talking about identity, is that would you kind of say that's like self awareness?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
self awareness all the time. Like I can't really help you until you're self aware. Like most people don't call me until they're self aware, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't like where I am." Like,
Yes. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
because when we're thinking about, okay, so think about someone who's in that state of fine and just living like coasting, it's usually we're not aware yet because we're kind of
hmm
in that numbed out or exhausted loop that we're just going through our everyday motions, and there's no passion there. There's no purpose or why. Nothing's broken enough to cause a change yet.
hmm
And so the awareness is likely not there yet. And then when someone starts to feel that inner pull, that awareness starts. And then we get to then step in as coaches and help them, really uncover it. Let's unpack it. Let's really peel back that onion and see what that looks like.
Oh, sorry, I had muted my mic. I will
That's
totally
okay.
cut that. I was just talking to you. Okay, that's awesome. So you've rebuilt your life on multiple times, right? So what's
Mhm.
the first step when someone may want to take or that they even maybe should take when life forces them into a season of reinvention?
The forcing of the reinvention is some of my favorite because it's life pushing you no matter what at that point. If it's pushing you and you're now finding yourself like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? It honestly is the choice at the end of the day, right? Okay, am I going to let this crush me, and am I going to take this down like a fear-based funnel, or am I going to look at this and say, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, but here we go. How can I, what do I need to learn from this? That's my favorite
Yeah.
phrase for people to like embrace when they're in a season of change is like, what do I need to learn right now?
Yes.
And that shifts your brain. Our brains are so powerful, and they actually cannot chemically process fear and gratitude at the same time, which I think is incredible. I'm like, okay, well, that gives us a superpower, because if we do find ourselves waking up in this forced change, then if we're scared and we're fearful and there's all of these things, those are valid. Honor those feelings. And then the moment that you say, what do I need to learn right now? You're shifting out of that fear-based and into a gratitude state of like, yes, you can still be nervous. There can still be 1,000 unknowns. There were for me and many of my rebuilds. But it let me say, okay, we've got this. I'm grateful to be in this space where I get to be challenged because I know something. I'm here for a reason. So what is it? Let's start getting creative, and let's start looking.
Yeah. So, I think that rebuilding is so important. It's just reflective of you're growing. You're growing, you're changing, you're, being self-aware, right? And it's so important. If you don't reinvent yourself, like that means you're stuck. That means you're stagnant. Yeah. And like you're not going up from there. You're just stuck where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of anything worse. When I think of like being in a stagnant place or complacency with people, I think that that's, in my opinion, that's one of the worst widespread diseases right now, is in the state of feeling comfortable.
Yes.
It's
I
like,
tell my kids all the time, if you're comfortable, you're not growing.
true.
Get uncomfortable.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I have a little 4-year-old little boy, and I was playing with him earlier today, and he was standing on the edge of the couch, and he was like, he literally looks at me and he goes, "Oh, my heart's beating fast right now." And I said, "Is it? Are you getting nervous?" And he said, "I am. I'm feeling my breath pick up too." And he's like describing these, feelings and things that are happening to his little body, because he's getting ready to jump into my arms off the edge of the couch. And he's pretty calculated with his like decisions, like risk taking or whatnot.
Clearly.
But he's like on the edge of the couch, and he's like describing these feelings to me. And then he says, "Okay." And I looked at him and I said, "But what can we be at the same time as being nervous?" And he goes, "Brave." And then he jumps into my arms, because he's learned that we have to get uncomfortable, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be nervous and brave at the same time.
Yes.
And it's so interesting how often I put the adults that I work with back into a childlike mindset.
You
Have to stay curious and stay in that state of wonder. And that is going to help you grow, because you start to look at things differently, and then you like take off the blinders that we put on as we grow up,
Yeah. So a lot of people stay stuck because they're afraid, right? They're afraid of making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
How do we teach people, talking about teaching your 4-year-old, how do we teach people to make decisions with conviction instead of fear?
I think that's a great question. And what I really want to challenge someone in any state of newness is to understand that it is a superpower to be okay with failure, because failure is inevitable. We are all going to fall on our face over and over and over in our lives. But again, the minute we fall, we have that opportunity of saying, "Oh, I don't want to do that again, but what do I need to learn from that?"
Yes.
And you're adding data to your own collection. You're adding tools to your tool belt at that point of if you're going to repeat it or not. And then you get to pick yourself back up. And so long, for me anyways, I spent so much time, once I would fail in something, I would feel shame and embarrassment and all of these negative feelings that come along with that. And the minute that I gave myself a break and was like, we all fail. Failure, again, is inevitable, but can I reframe this? and learn from it and use it as a power tool, well, then I started making a ton of progress because it let me start to take action faster. And when we're willing to take action faster, we're going to grow faster, we're going to progress, we're going to move the needle, all of the things,
Right.
But my challenge is like, be okay and challenge yourself with being okay to fail and to fall, and instead focus on how quickly you can get back up.
Yes. Like you were just talking about staying stuck, right? And a lot of times we stay stuck because we're afraid,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're
Mm-hmm.
afraid of moving. One of the biggest things that I taught my children was like you were talking about. Okay, what did we learn from this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you realize what you learn, then you have the data. And I think that one of the reasons that we stay stuck is because nobody taught us how to get up. Nobody
Yes.
taught us how to reframe. Nobody taught us how to, take that data and use it, right?
Yeah.
The society makes us feel guilty for failing, right?
Uh-huh. We were taught to take that data and bury it.
Yes, hide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some practical ways we can start building like systems that actually support our growth instead of making us add more pressure to ourselves?
I think the first thing is taking a big inventory list. And when I say take inventory, I'm literally asking you to get it out of your head and get it on paper or on an electronic something, whatever your means of getting it out of your brain and, being able to visually look at it. That is such a powerful exercise because whether that's personal inventory that we're taking or business inventory,
Mm-hmm.
we get to now be so aware of like, wow, there is so much more on my plate than I realized that I was juggling with. What is actually a priority here? Or what do I need to start saying no to that I've continued to say yes to? And this is a repetitive thing now that I'm committed to,
Yeah.
it lets us really look at this and then make some logical decisions on that. Because then we can say, okay, this is priority, or who can I tap in to help me? If I have some things on my plate and we're talking about at home, if I'm running it like a business, well then who in
Mm-hmm.
my home can step up and help support me on said thing, right?
Yeah.
So the first step I think is getting it out of your head and onto
Yeah.
paper. And then we can look, and the second step is going to be how you're managing your time with it. Because time management, if you're not being proactive and really being like a savage with your time, you and I have the same 24 hours in the day,
Yes.
but how we organize our time, I'm sure, is very different. And to someone, again, going back to what we were talking about when we started, to someone who's reacting to their day all
Yeah.
day, every day, I know their productivity is going to be much less than to someone who is saying, this goes here by priority, and also like knowing your energy. There's so much that goes into time management,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things I have my clients do is brain dump.
Yeah.
Right? Bring that list to our next call.
Yes.
Right? Write it all down. All the things that you think you're doing, all the things that you're doing, all the
Yep.
things that are already on your calendar, all the things that you need to like write it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when I'm on podcasts, one of the things they ask me is like, what is your biggest tip? Because I'm probably gonna ask you that also. But it is managing your time.
Mm-hmm.
People think that getting organized in their physical space, like that is the creme de la creme. It's
Mm-hmm.
not.
Yeah.
Because if I get you organized in your space and you're not properly managing your time and your schedule, you're going to be back to square one.
Yeah, you're going to blow up your space also. Your
Yeah.
organized space is going to look like a zoo in 1 week.
Yes, it happens so often.
Yeah.
So managing your time and your schedule is like one of the first priorities that me and my clients have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of organization, now's the time, Tiffanie, to flip the mic. So you get to ask me a question.
In all of your experience with, I know, from chatting with you, we definitely have similar approaches to like where we first take inventory. Where have you seen, or what do you hope to, well, I guess I'm going to reframe my question.
Okay.
I'm going to reframe this with, with you having this platform to be able to deliver such incredible, useful information, what is your biggest hope with such a wide reach?
Ooh, my biggest hope, I guess, would be to get people to really tap into what it is they're saying yes to, what it is they're saying no to, and actually managing their time. Like, I think that because when I started this, the one of the first things I talked about on the podcast is giving people what they want. They want to know how to get their pantry organized. They want to know how to get their closet organized, right? That was the first season. We talked all about physical organization. We're on probably season 5, and I have yet to talk about it again since then because we got that physical space organized. Now we need to get our life organized because you cannot create the organized life if you have the improper mindset, if you're not managing your schedule, if you are putting too many things on your plate. All of that will make your physical space. I'm working with a client right now. She bought my largest package and then one of my medium packages. We literally did her entire house. And she still feels overwhelmed. Why? Because we got to get her life together. We got to get the kids walking the dogs instead of her. We got to get the kids feeding the dogs instead of her. We got to get the kids doing some of the laundry instead of her. So we got to get that calendar in order. We got to get some people to buy into the organized life that we're trying to create. So I think I answered your question.
I love it.
Yeah, so I just want people to actually really get what the organized life is.
Yeah.
Way more than your space.
Oh man, I feel you there because, there is such beauty in getting your space organized. There's so much unspoken messages that you're sending to yourself, to your future self, the space that you're making in your mind. I mean, I don't have to tell you, that, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much power there. But to your point, if we are not locking in the time that we have every day, then it doesn't matter if our space is giving us all the room to grow because we're not giving ourselves the room to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Beautifully said.
And speaking of growth, as people grow and evolve, their systems often can break down.
Yeah.
How can someone create habits and routines that actually scale them instead of holding them back?
I love that. So your habits aren't something that your habits are going to evolve, right? Just like what you said with your growth. However, you've got foundational habits in your life every single day that if I can get a handful of habits to be like a not even a conscious thought for somebody. It's just like they automatically do it every day. Now we're giving the ability to grow. So what do I mean by that? If I can get someone in the habit of getting their 8 hours of sleep every day, and then I can get them in the habit of getting up when their alarm goes off and movement like these core pieces that are going to allow us to show up as our best self. The minute that doesn't have to take active energy, now we're talking about the ability to grow because now those are just part of our structure now. They're just part of our foundation. And then the conscious energy gets to go on habits that get to take us to the next level.
Yeah.
And then those become subconscious habits and, so.
Yeah. So you've navigated some deeply personal challenges, right? So how does your emotional experience impact let me ask that again. So you've navigated deeply personal challenges. How do emotional experiences impact someone's ability to stay organized and lead themselves well?
Emotional discipline is right next to the importance, right next to on priority level, right next to the importance of time management. And if we are making decisions based on emotional reaction, then we are likely going to be making poor decisions.
Yeah.
Because an emotional swing will let us go in crazy directions.
Listen,
But
I've been there, done that.
all of us have, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, we are human at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so when we talk about these systems that we can build to support those seasons, if I have built systems well enough that I am doing them, like I was saying, like, I'm not having to think of them actively and they're just part of my everyday life, then when an emotional situation comes into play, I'm not having to spend my energy saying, well, is this disrupting everything? Because all of this is part of my daily
Mm-hmm.
discipline already. The infrastructure that we build in the calm
Yep.
gets to sustain us in the parts of chaos. We do not
Yeah.
want to build infrastructure in chaos.
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
protection mechanism. It lets us be prepared. So, I mean, if you're okay with it, I'll share a little bit of like how this supported me in what could have been a crazy emotional swing for me. Do we
Of
have the
course.
time for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I had spent quite a bit of time really doubling down in my habits and my mindset, like when we talk about personal infrastructure as a whole. And at the time, I was doing that out of reverence for the roles that I got to hold. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a CEO of a large company. I own a few other businesses on the side. Like life is busy for me over here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was building these, I was staying consistent and really like staying disciplined out of what I thought was of reverence out of these roles. But what I didn't know is life had an event coming for me
Mm.
that was going to come and sweep everything out had I not been prepared.
Ah,
And that came in the form of a breast cancer diagnosis.
wow.
And so when I got that news that, that I got the confirmation and they said, okay, you have breast cancer, imagine if I wouldn't have taken the time to have already doubled down in those habits. My businesses were running well because I had built systems to run
Yeah.
them well already. My home life was in order because I was really
Yeah.
respectful of what it does to my everyday life. So what it gave me the space was I got to sit there and say, okay, how am I going to be able to navigate this with my body? What does this look like over the next? There
Mm-hmm.
were 1,000 unknowns, and was I scared? You bet you. I just got told I had breast cancer.
Right. Right.
But instead of being like, oh my gosh, my businesses are going to fall apart because I do all of these things in them, and I have to then also do all these things in the house, I had already prepared for that,
Yeah.
for something I never knew was coming. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason that I bring that up is we're all going to get hit by some sort of a gut punch
Yeah.
moment. It's inevitable in life, of course. But what we do get the choice of is how we will prepare for that. How are you going to set yourself up to be the strongest version of yourself or the best leader, or fill in the blank of how you would love to be standing when a moment like that comes in?
Mm.
And it is a choice.
Yeah.
So I try and help people understand the concept of that, of like the importance of preparation. And that's ultimately what organization is giving you, is like a
Yeah.
full preparation for what we don't know is coming, or the growth that is coming our
Yeah.
way.
You have that solid foundation to lean on
Yeah.
when you're prepared.
Mhm.
Like, if you have to have someone come in and take over things, things are in place. They're not scrambling to find paperwork. They're not scrambling to find this. They're not scrambling to
Yes.
find that.
Yeah.
So it's really does benefit not just you, right? It
Mhm.
benefits your entire family.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you talked about reclaiming your time, energy, and even maybe your agency. What is one area that most people are giving away control without even realizing it?
I mean, I know we've been saying it a lot, but I'm gonna say time
Say it.
again.
Yes.
Because think of all of the noise that's around us. I don't know where my phone is right now, but that little smart device that we
Mm-hmm.
have connection to everything on, can be used as a very powerful tool, but it can also suck minutes and hours and days away from moments that could be intentionally led. And so, I mean, unintentionally, and all of a sudden you're like, I mean, how many times have you talked to people and they're like, I just looked down and I've been on social media for an hour or 2 hours. They get
Yeah.
caught up in the
Yeah.
doom scroll,
Yeah.
which everybody does it again. But then it's that point of like, okay, let's become aware then.
Yeah.
Is this a problem for you? And let's identify those pieces that are taking that piece away, you know? So I'm going back to time. Time is the common denominator.
It is very much the common denominator. You know, one of the things I have my clients do too is to look at your screen time.
Mhm.
How much time are you spending on these apps?
We compare in our home. We'll get to the end of the day or the end of the week and be like, okay, what'd your week look like?
Yes, yes. And I'm so proud of my screen time because I have really doubled down on being super intentional about what I'm spending my time on.
Yeah.
But when you look at that screen time, Lord, it can be like mind blowing.
Uh-huh.
And you don't even realize it.
Mm-mm.
And you go from one app to the other thinking that you haven't been on there that long.
Uh-huh.
Right? But when you compare the two,
this is the other thing that I love. This is the other thing that I'll get from my clients. Well, I just jump on there because I don't like the notifications. Like, I don't like to see 5 notifications here or 20 notifications here. So I'm just going on to clear the notifications out. And I'm like, so then turn the notifications off.
Turn it off. Get out
of there.
Listen, so I've interviewed quite a few professional organizers, my colleagues, and one of them schooled me on that. She was like, I don't like seeing that I have 2,682 emails or, 5 notifications for Facebook or whatever the case may be. Now I don't have the sound. I've never had the sound on for any, especially social media. I don't need to hear any of that.
Yeah.
But those numbers really irritate me, and I didn't realize it until she said that. I was like, as soon as I get off of this podcast, I am turning every single one off. And so I don't have any more of those numbers, not even for my emails, because I'm pretty good about my emails anyway. However, for those that are not, it's so funny when people send me a screenshot of something and they have 6,200 text messages unread. Oh my God.
The text messages, the voicemails. I'm like,
how?
I'm sweating.
Listen, I'll ask my sister, let me see your phone. I'm just clearing. Because you're not going to go back and look at those messages. So it don't even matter what they said.
Yep.
Let me just clear this number for me. Not for you, but for me.
It's so true.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy how that brings me anxiety on somebody else's phone. I'm like, that's the first thing I see. That and their battery. Like, you're at 0%. Like,
tell me where your gas tank is too, and it'll be a telltale as well.
Text them and say, charge your phone. You're at red % right now. So, Tiffanie, this is my last question. For someone that's listening who feels like they feel really overwhelmed right now, what is one small, powerful shift that they can make today to begin creating alignment in their lives?
I want you to think of the concept of something over nothing.
Oh.
Because when we think of, if you are in a state of overwhelm, you've already gone through all of the dream scenarios that you want things to be at, but you're still stuck in overwhelm. And what causes us that delay oftentimes is the mentality of, well, it needs to be perfect. So many times I've worked with so many moms that are stepping back into something. Well, when my kid's in school full time, then I'll do blah, blah, blah. When I get that raise, then I'll do this. We all the perfect season. There's no perfect season in life, right?
No.
Or painting the picture of the perfect step-by-step way of doing something to get out of that. But push all of that aside and lean into the concept of something over nothing. And so you take one small step and celebrate that win that day. And what you're doing is you're building that self-trust in side that
Mm-hmm.
lets you show up tomorrow, because today you did something serving yourself. And going back to that pre-commitment, you've committed to yourself of this, and I did a little bit of it. That's still something. And
Yeah.
so start in there, and then we can work into consistency and we can work into bigger strides. But I want you to start small with just something on your list.
One of the things that I say to my clients is that it's not a to-do list. It's getting one more thing out of your brain, off your
Mhm.
mind, right? Just
Yep.
just do the one thing, and it's just one less thing you got to think about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And also, like, let yourself be proud of yourself in
Yes.
I mean, if I'm working with someone, and let's take physical movement for an example, right? If we're working on getting more consistent physical movement in someone's life, and that's something that they've really struggled with, I am not going to ask them, okay, this week I want you to go to the gym every single day and then report back to me. I'm literally going to say, tomorrow I want you to put on your gym shoes.
Mm.
See what happens next. I just want you to lace the shoes up. That's all.
Yeah.
And then they put the shoes on and they're like, well, now I've got the shoes on. I'm going to go for a walk.
I gotta go for a walk.
Yeah. It's like we get to remove a small friction point, but for somebody that isn't in that regular movement, that's a big deal. So
Mm-hmm.
it is just, I mean, get some of that out of your mind and then celebrate yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. All right, Tiffanie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
This
having me.
conversation was amazing. Tell the Organized Life listeners where they can find you, what you're up to in this season of your life, and if there's anything else you would like to share with us.
You can find me over on Instagram or LinkedIn, are the two platforms I'm the most active over. Of course, I'm going to give you a spelling curveball because Tiffany's not spelled with a Y, it's spelled with an IE, but you can probably look at the show notes and find the right spelling there
Yeah.
too. But what I'm up to, I am on a mission to be able to help others understand that their version of freedom is achievable. And it is putting those steps in place to be able to get that, starting with their vision. And I mean, there's so much there, but I want people to know that you don't have to go about this alone. And so if you're
Mm-hmm.
finding yourself in a state of overwhelm, or if you are becoming like stepping into that place of awareness of you are meant for more, but you don't know how to get there, then lean on us. Let us help support you. So if I'm leaving people, if I'm leaving their lives brighter than when I first came in contact, then I'm doing a job well done. And I am on a mission to do that with as many people as I can touch.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys heard it. Go find Tiffanie on LinkedIn and Instagram.
You got it.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure having this conversation. We had such a good
Likewise, this was
time. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the Organized Life listeners, you guys know what it is. If whatever strategy or system you are putting in place is not saving you space, time, energy, and money, go ahead and tweak it, revisit it, see what's working, do more of that. What's not working, we want to eliminate, right? And don't forget, the Organized Life Masterclass is happening sometime this month. I don't know when this is going to drop, but look for it. I'm doing it every month. I want as many people to get inside of it because we got to learn how to create the organized life. We got to master our life before we can master the space. So, if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and check out the show notes. If you want to take the organized life, it's a life and home audit. It'll be there for you also. And until next time, ciao. Awesome. Where it go? Stop.